Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Football Sweet Chat Show. I'm of course your host Leon, and with me always is my co-host Richard and head of social media Andrew. How you guys doing today?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad at all.
Yeah, good, thanks, mate.
Good. Today's topics are as follows. The FA bans, refs and much more. Discussing the sort of controversy surrounding the FA in the last couple of years, but specifically this year. Football, not the working man's game anymore. Ticket prices rising and obviously not feeling like a football environment at some places. And to finish off the topics, the best player that we have seen live, our opinion on the best player that we have seen play live at grounds, or who we've seen in person play. So let's get on to the first topic. The FA bans, refs and much more. Especially a topic that's recently a news story that's come out. Jonny Evans and Papi Cisse banned by the FA for spitting. What did you guys think of the story when you saw it?
I think they both deserve to be banned, to be fair. I mean, I think spitting's one of probably the most disgusting things anybody could do in life, let alone on a football field. I think as a Man United fan, I mean, I know a lot of United fans find it funny, but I just think obviously I understand the two managers obviously not commenting much after the game because neither of them had seen the incident, but for Manchester United and Jonny Evans to come out the day after and categorically deny that he'd spat when however many millions of viewers have seen him spit, I just think it's a bit disrespectful to the rules and regulations really of football for United to come. Newcastle did the right thing. Papi Cisse came out straight away. Yeah, I've done it. I'm sorry, shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Game
over, done with. United have dragged it out for 2 or 3 days. What's the point? He was getting a 6-game ban either way. They weren't going to not ban him, so it was pointless.
Also, do you think it's a bit controversial the fact that Papi Cisse and Newcastle United have come out and apologised for doing it, and obviously he knows he's done it, so there's no point trying to get away with it like you said, but he got a worse ban than Jonny Evans. Jonny Evans banned for 6 matches, Cisse for 7.
He got the bans because he's been banned previously though in the season. That's why he got more. He got 7 games because he's been previously banned. That's another stupid rule with the FA. If you've been banned and you get banned again, you get an extra ban.
Yeah,
really, it's just ridiculous, really.
Yeah. What did you think of the story, Andrew? Obviously, it's not something we see week in, week out when it comes to the Premier League, but quite a very childish act, if anything.
Yeah, I agree basically with what you guys have been saying. It's very true what you're saying, the idea that Jonny Evans has kind of denied it as much as he has, because, exactly what Richard said, millions of people have seen him do it. He should have come out and said, even if he didn't mean it, just come out and say, yeah, I did spit. I didn't mean to hit him, but I shouldn't have spat in that direction because it had the warning of actually hitting him. So, for one person to come out and say, yeah, I'm really sorry, it was a silly thing to do, and then for the other person to kind of deny it, it's always a bit disappointing, because you think we could have had this, as Richard said, we could have avoided the last 2 days of debating it, because they were going to get banned anyway. So, you may as well at least leave with some credibility by apologising. And
do you also think this is a sort of another highlight of the FA where it comes silly with rules? They don't seem to know what punishment is right for spitting and, for instance, breaking somebody's leg. It's a 3-game ban if you break somebody's leg, but a 7-game ban or 6-game ban, like Richard said, obviously he's been banned before. But for spitting, do you think that's a bit excessive?
Well, yeah, the FA is quite inconsistent with punishment duration. I think they pretty much just make it up, because some of the stuff we've had for 3 matches off the ball is worse than spitting, really, than 6 games. So it's I wonder if there is rules for spitting and stuff like that in duration, or all these guys are kind of making it up, because it seems more the latter to that, really, that they are actually just making it up.
Yeah, exactly. And also, the way we've seen the FA perform when it comes to punishments this year, it hasn't been sort of universal across the board. It seems like one player's getting a certain ban and other players getting a different ban. Do you think this is the FA messing up once again, Richard?
There's just no consistency. There's no consistency with officials' decisions on the pitch during games. There's no consistency with after the game incidents. There's no consistency with bans. We see things, we see things week in, week out. I mean, I can't remember what game it was to be exact, but it was only a few, maybe a month or two ago when Joe Hart pretty much went forehead to forehead with a referee.
Yeah.
And, forehead to forehead with a player gets separated. To go forehead to forehead with a referee and no ban porting, but not even spoke about by the press or the officials or commentators after or during the game.
Yeah.
But was it a couple of weeks or a month or so before that, Joe Hart went head to head with the Hull City player who's now at Burnley, the long-haired guy? What's he called?
George Boyd.
Yeah, and he got a did he get a 3-game ban? He didn't headbutt him or anything or whatever it was, and he got a 3-game ban for it. And it's like, well, you can't have 3-game ban somebody for going forehead to forehead with somebody. Or I think that might have been a spitting incident as well, wasn't it? He got he was shouting at him, and obviously saliva came out of his mouth. He didn't physically spit on him, but he got a 3-game ban for that. Joe Hart goes head to head with a referee, forehead to forehead, no ban. Papa Cisse gets a 7-game ban, and Jonny Evans gets a 6-game ban. There's just no consistency whatsoever in the bans and rules and regulations of the FA.
Do you think this could be another sort of advocate to video technology? If a referee sees that in match, do you think he maybe has an easy decision from someone telling him what's just happened? Because obviously we didn't know what had happened in normal time. We had to see it during a replay. I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty difficult decision for a ref to give, isn't it?
I'm honest to God. I don't think the technologies, the video technology, I don't think it's needed in football. Decisions get made, bad decisions get made. I just think there needs to be consistency, because at the end of the day, if it gets to the point where we're stopping the game every 10, 15 minutes, every 5 minutes for every incident, where does it stop?
Yeah.
Because there's times in games where it goes out for a goal kick, but the referee and linesman give a corner, and then a team scores from that corner when it shouldn't. Are we going to be? Are we stopping the game every time the referee blows the whistle and makes a decision? Are we having? Are we calling for the point where someone sat there watching a replay, going, "You've made the wrong decision. It's a goal kick, or it's a corner, or it's a throw-in, or it wasn't a free kick, or it was a penalty." Or, football, it'll be like American football, and my opinion on football at the moment, I think football generally across the board, in the Premier League especially, is boring. The football at the moment in being played in England in the Premier League, it's boring football. You get the odd 1 or 2 games where it's electrified, it's a great game, it's end to end, but 9 times out of 10 I think the football's boring at the moment, and it'll go even more boring if we go to watching a replay every 5 minutes and the game being stopped. And where do we go from there? We're talking a half lasting an hour and 20 minutes because we've stopped for a couple of minutes just for this incident, for that incident. I don't think that's the way to go. I really don't. And mistakes are made. I just think that if an incident's happened and it's been missed by an official, or if an incident's happened and you've got booked for it or sent off or whatever it may be, look at it afterwards, then make your decision.
Do you think also, great point, obviously, but do you feel that maybe the referees, if they make a decision like sending somebody off or certain things that would impact the game, like you said, a corner going out and then scoring from a corner, would it be good for the referees to come out after the match and have to explain that? Because if a footballer does something, he generally comes out after the match and has to explain himself, or a manager does. But referees, they seem very protected, and the worst punishment is, a game in the league below.
Yeah, I think that just needs to be, be open and consistent. I mean, I think I saw a little clipping in the papers a week or so ago, and apparently the Phil Dowd had come out and apparently has said that if he'd have seen the replay of Wayne Rooney's penalty against Preston North End in the FA Cup, he wouldn't have give it. You know, when do we ever see referees coming out and giving an opinion on that? You know, the referees make a bad decision pretty much every game these days.
Yeah.
So, you know, to come out and say, "Oh, I wouldn't have give it if I'd have seen the replay." There's the inconsistency, because you've got a ref coming out there and saying, "Oh, if I'd have seen that in the game, I wouldn't have give it." But every other week, the referees are not made accountable for the decisions and the actions that they take.
But Andrew, do you think that obviously the referees are there to do a certain job, but they can only sort of be helped by the players in front of them? Do you think you have to sort of give the referee something? You know, obviously the players dive nowadays in football and it's everything to get an advantage. But 30 years ago or 20 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that in the match. Do you think that's where the referees have sort of stayed back in a certain time where the players have moved forward?
Well, I 100% agree with your point. The idea that the footballers are not helping our referees at all. I mean, players know when it's a goal kick sometimes, but still beg for a corner and say that a corner is the only right decision. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as you said, like diving. Like, how many times have you thought something was a penalty, but then you found out they dove? Like, I've done it loads of times. Yeah,
and obviously when you see it happen against your team, it's infuriating. But then you see a player from your own team do it, and you think, you know, am I a hypocrite for glad that he got that penalty? Or,
well, you got to think about the refs as well. Like, they get duped out of that. Like, they must feel bad because they must think, "Oh, I've made a decision in this match."
Yeah.
And like, but I was lied to by a player. Like, I couldn't actually trust that player now because he's blatantly lied in front of me and said, like, "Oh, that is a penalty," when he knew full well that it wasn't.
Yeah, and obviously,
but then on that though, you've got the occasions like we saw with a Wes Brown and the John O'Shea incident, and obviously the Arsenal incident against Chelsea last season.
Yeah,
you've got where the players are being honest and saying, "Ref, it was me. It was me. Send me off." But the refs aren't listening. It's like the refs are, "No, I've made a decision. I'm right. You're all wrong." And even to come out after that game and say, "No, we were 100% right. It wasn't John O'Shea. It was Wes Brown." Everybody in the ground could see that John O'Shea didn't touch Falcao. Everyone in the ground at Stamford Bridge saw that, you know, it wasn't Gibbs that handballed it on the line. But this is the thing. I mean, the referees, they don't listen to the players, and maybe that is because 9 times out of 10 the players are going, "No, ref, it was a corner, or it wasn't a corner, or it was a foul, or it wasn't a foul."
Or do you think it may be the pressure of not being able to fail that gets it wrong? You know, there's so much pressure on the refs to give the right decisions that sometimes they think, you know, I'm sticking with my decision. If I seem to give a decision after I've made my first one, it will see me as like someone who's messed up. But I also think that referees, you know, take your time. You know, obviously, like you said, you don't have to be like American football and stop the match. But, you know, this is a very important decision. You know, take your time doing it, speak to your officials and give it, because all that was going to happen with that decision was you're going to give a penalty or it's a corner. So the ball's out of play anyway.
The thing is with this is that, you know, what footballer? There's no advantage. There was absolutely no advantage for Sunderland at Old Trafford. It didn't make a difference which player got sent off. They were both centre backs. It was going to affect the game. It didn't make a difference for Arsenal which player got sent off. What footballer on a football field turns around to a referee and goes, "No, send me off, ref," if they've not done something?
Yeah.
You know,
exactly. It's common sense, isn't it?
Exactly, and it made no difference to the game. But if that referee had just took a minute and listened to the footballers, it wasn't just the Sunderland players that were saying it. It was the United players.
Yeah,
there was, "Ref, you've made the wrong decision. You're sending the wrong player off." And he didn't care. "I've made my decision. Get off the pitch." And then, like I said the other week when we were talking about it, now Sunderland have got both their centre-backs for the next game, where the next team that plays them would have had an advantage because Sunderland's number 1 centre-backs, one of them wouldn't have been playing. but they can't ban John O'Shea because the decision's been made in the game, even though the wrong player's been sent off.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
And especially on this point, we would see if a decision like that's made, the referee, he wouldn't be in the Premier League for 1 week and then he'd be back. But a manager to come out after and say that, the referee was useless. If the referee has made a decision like that, why should a manager be punished for stating the obvious? Andrew, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, this is a weird one now, what we're in, because, like you say, fines and stuff like that on managers who say what they want, and, it's the problem now is, what I tend to find is a lot of these managers now in interviews are very restricted, and they're using, code words and stuff like that, and they're not obviously saying directly what they want to say, which you're losing the interview with that, aren't you? Because that's why we put them in that position, so we can fully understand how a manager feels about being unjust in a decision. So by slating them when they say something and fining them, what we're saying is, no, don't say that, say what we want to hear, which is obviously very restricted stuff, which is very simple. Whereas for me personally, I want to see the Kevin Keegan interviews and stuff like that where he's proper going for it, because that's what you want. That's your passionate manager. That's your leader taking you through all this stuff that you're putting a lot of faith into this person's hands. And to hear them be passionate is something you want to hear. And
also, we've seen recently, obviously, as a Chelsea fan, you've seen that I've seen that Jose Mourinho doesn't want to speak to Sky. And previously, we've seen Alex Ferguson do that, haven't we? Where he refuses to speak to a certain news group because they'll always ask the same question and they'll always get the same answer. If you're continuously seeing referees play bad, ref bad, and you're not getting any change, but you're getting banned, it doesn't seem very fair, and it doesn't seem just how you can ban someone for criticising someone, and you see the newspapers and stuff like that criticising referees, but nothing happens. You see the papers and pundits criticise players, and nothing happens. But a manager comes out and criticises someone who affects the match, and it's banned. So I feel the FA have a lot to answer for, and what do you think they can do to sort of change their methods?
I think the whole structure needs to be re-looked at. I think we do need a few changes in English football. I think we need to look at all the lower leagues and try and help them out and stuff like that. But in terms of referees and stuff, I think we need to look at, as been pointed, the main word of this episode so far is definitely consistency. They need to look at the rules and say, right, what is acceptable, what isn't, what do we actually need to do? And everyone needs to know them. They need to produce a manual and stuff, and give it to clubs, hand it out at the start, when everyone turns up for pre-season each season. Say, here's the rules. This is what happens. When a referee has a bad game, this happens, and then there's actually some order and some understanding, because then everyone, even fans at home who are watching, can go, oh, I know that rule, it's this. So and it's clear for the people to read.
And when it comes to obviously great point made, but when it comes to things like retrospective bans, currently it can only be done for red cards, but you see people like Fabregas, who was brought down in the box but given a yellow card, and then that yellow card contributed to him being banned. That yellow card can't get taken away. Do you think that yellow cards should be looked at and rescinded like red cards are?
Yeah, definitely, because you can get 5 yellows. At the start of the season, you can get 5 yellows and a ban, can't you? So, I think that's what happened with Fabregas, wasn't it? So, everybody 100% can all happily agree, yep, definitely that was not a yellow card. But then the FA at the same time, once they've done that panel, can then say, right, well, we did give it anyway, so here's your ban. It shouldn't work like that. They should openly say, yep, that's not the right decision. What the person who did it, who didn't actually do it, who thought did do it, shouldn't be given the yellow card. Let's take it away. It's just the same if it was a red card. So, a few yellow cards make a red, so you should be able to take it away.
Yeah, great talk on that, guys. We'll get on to the next topic now. Football, not the working man's game anymore. This is regarding prices for even down to sort of like food on match day. You know, at Wembley, you know, it's a pint is £7, and it really is ridiculous what's come to with football. And obviously, as an Arsenal fan, Andrew, you know more than anyone, with it being the most expensive club when it comes to tickets around.
Oh yeah, I mean, exactly. You've kind of like, for personally, the example you use, Wembley, like that's a different occasion for me, because obviously if you're at Wembley, it's a big thing. So I mean, I don't mind paying £7 there. The problem is when you go to Stamford Bridge in the Emirates, where it's only £6.50. So like, they've only knocked 50 pence off, and yet when you go to Wembley, you're there for like a good occasion and stuff, whereas you're just there for a normal match day. But I mean, the topic is a massive talking point in all of English football at the minute, from what I can see around me, because it isn't, you know, like you say, it isn't the working man's game anymore. And if like, and the sad thing is, it's the lower leagues as well where it's quite bad, because I was hearing like a lot of Championship tickets are £25 and up.
Yeah. I mean, even down to sort of like League Two, you know, the season tickets aren't cheap. Well, not League Two standard cheap, and that's not disrespectful to League Two, but if you're sort of paying only a quarter of what a Premiership team would ask, you know, it's a big gap in quality. And, you know, this is a sort of, you know, take your kids to see and not an expensive day sort of team, and, you know, you're spending not a lot of difference, especially when you like pull up food and stuff like that, because it was, even in the Premiership teams, you could take a couple of your kids and be okay. But now, you know, if you're taking yourself and two children to a Premier League match, it's not a cheap day out.
Oh, no, definitely not. And especially with the lower league teams, like, it's actually understandable why they might charge a little bit more, because they are actually trying to just keep going. Yeah. Some of them, like, so like the money is contributing. Whereas like when I go to the Emirates and pay my money, like, how much revenue do Arsenal get from tickets?
Yeah,
like, it's hardly anything compared to TV and everything. So it's not. Like, at least with your lower clubs in terms of the table, like, at least it's towards something. Like, you're paying to keep your club alive. Like, in some cases, to keep your club alive and just keep it going, as opposed to the Premier League clubs who've just got like billions of pounds each on this new TV deal. Who don't even see the ticket money because it's so far down in their priorities.
And I mean, it's not like, for instance, this whole new TV deal is not every single match, you know, it's only hand-picked matches by Sky and BT. So say if you're, for instance, an Everton fan and you don't get to go to the match a lot, you know, it's not guaranteed that every Everton match is going to be on telly. So it kind of limits your objectives if you don't want to go to the stadium and spend the money, but you've got this nice Sky package where you can watch the top 5 teams week in, week out. You know, it's quite unfair to every team, don't you think, Richard?
Yeah, I think the thing is with a working man's game. I mean, it's not been a working man's game for a very, very long time. I mean, you know, I think what you've got to look at with football clubs for me, and I've had this debate on several occasions at Manchester United. We had the massive big upheaval last year of this singing section, how embarrassing it was. The atmosphere at Old Trafford hasn't been great, but the atmosphere at most home grounds isn't great. You know, you don't really go to the Emirates and think, oh, the atmosphere is amazing. It's only when you maybe go to the lower teams, your smaller grounds, and I'm not in respect to the club itself, but the
sort of Crystal Palace,
Crystal Palace, your QPR, your Burnley, your
Manchester City.
Well, there's never an atmosphere there, is it? It's never full. So, but the thing is, I mean, with that, I mean, my point being as a football fan is, when I go to the game, I meet my mates 2, 3, 4, 5 hours before kickoff. We'll go to a few bars in Manchester. We'll then maybe head over a bit further towards the ground, go to a pub or a bar near Old Trafford. Then about 45 minutes before kickoff, go in and have a couple of beers in the concourse before we go up to the seats.
Yeah.
Now, I spend £100 a game on beer, food, going out for drinks, whatever it may be. Now, I've got no problem where I spend my money because I want to go. So I've got no problem who I give my money over to because I'm getting a drink. My point being is, if the food prices and the drink prices inside the grounds was cheaper, we'd go to the ground earlier. We'd spend our 50 quid that we'd usually spend in a bar or pub in Manchester before we go to the ground at the ground.
Yeah.
With that, the atmosphere will be 10 million times better.
Yeah.
If you rate if you look at the American sports, you go to, and I know Andrew's been to a baseball game in America. If you go to a game in America, beforehand, these hundreds of fans,
like 6-7 hours beforehand, they're setting up in the car park.
They're in the car parks, they're having barbecues, they're drinking beer, they're having fun, they're having a laugh, can go into the concourse, they can watch the games, they can watch results, they can watch other sports. You know, if you think about it, a 3 o'clock kickoff game, a 5 o'clock kickoff game, 5:30 kickoff, if United were showing Sky Sports News or Gillette Soccer Saturday in the concourses before the game and the beers were £2.50 instead of £4.80,
make a killing.
They'd make a killing.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is, you know, the food. I mean, Manchester, I've had a laugh about it this season with the lads and things, but Manchester United this season have charged more for... And this is going to sound ridiculous to anybody listening to this, but last season it was Holland's pies at Manchester United. Everybody knows Holland's pies, so nobody minds. This season, you go to Old Trafford, they don't have Holland's pies anymore. They're called Pete's pies. I don't know who Pete is, but his pies must be pretty damn good because they're now 50p more expensive than a Holland's pie. So not only is it not good stuff, you're paying premiums for stuff that nobody's ever heard of before.
And that's the thing, if you're on like a sort of family day out to the football and your kids want something, you know, it's not expensive.
I would not take, if I had kids, the last place I would be wanting to take my kid on a Saturday is to a football game, because you're talking 100 quid.
Yeah.
You're
and
talking 100 quid easily.
And like you were saying with the Concord and stuff like that, the only time I've sort of seen it in a huge atmosphere is at a cup final. And it's only because it's neutral ground. People don't want to go in different pubs. You know, they want to be around that atmosphere. So it's only at a final you see that, which is quite annoying, because obviously you want to have that atmosphere. You want to have that sort of revved up fan every match. You know, you want to be behind your team every match. And, you know, you only really get that at finals, you know, especially at home grounds, like you said. You know, not every team is great at home. You know, obviously, like Arsenal, for instance, last season, their fans were probably amazing at the FA Cup final. But at home on a regular game, it isn't as good. You know, it's disappointing to see, isn't it?
I just think it goes hand in hand with the prices that people have to pay. And again, my point being before, and I was saying this to a lad I was talking to in work the other day, I honestly feel that the football is boring. And that's not just, I mean, as a Man United fan, it's absolutely shocking at the moment. But, you know what, back in the 90s, in the early 2000s, I used to get excited about Match of the Day being on. Whether United win or lose, I'll watch Match of the Day. I can't be bothered now, because it's not exciting. The football is not exciting anymore, and it used to be, and I think it's all because it's all now about the money. It's not about entertaining the fans anymore. Yeah, you know, when did Manchester United ever sit back and just pass the ball about and not care what the fans... You know, you've got Man United fans chanting 4-4-2, attack. That's not Manchester United. Yeah. You know, your fans shouldn't be that bored, sat paying £750 to £1,500 for a season ticket, shouting attack. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, Andrew, you're an Arsenal fan. What do you think about this?
I love Richard's idea of $2.50 a beer. I think I agree. I agree.
I like the way that was the only bit that sort of came out of it.
No, Oh, I agree 100%. I think that is an amazing idea because personally at the Emirates they do have, when it's a 3 o'clock kickoff, they do have the BT match on. And if it was that price, I'm sure people would skip the pub and be out there watching the football from, when does it start? 1:45. So people could be in the stadium singing and having a good time and stuff, 2 hours before kickoff, easily.
And I mean, a lot of clubs are sort of like sponsored by a lot of alcohol companies, so it's not like it's costing the club a huge amount. Well, for instance, Roman Abramovich, the billionaire, isn't going to worry about what supplier of beer he's going to get in, so it's not really sort of big deal when it comes to the owners. So you can't really see why they would charge so much, especially at top clubs like Chelsea.
Well, it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I mean, you can excuse me, you can go to a pub outside Old Trafford and get a pint for £2.80, or you can go and get a small bottle of beer at Old Trafford for £4.80. Where are you going to go? It stands to sense. You're going to go to the places, and there's a place near Old Trafford. It's called Red Square on a match day. Warehouse. Everybody in Manchester knows it, and the atmosphere in that warehouse is a million times better on a match day than it is in Old Trafford, because people get there early. It opens 4 or 5 hours before kickoff. The beer's cheap. It's a big space. They've got a big screen. They've got the game on. They've got the game before, whether it's the Championship, whether it's the Premier League. They've got the football on. People are having a beer. You can have a chat. There's a burger van outside. And it's cheaper to go there than to go and sit in Old Trafford for 4 hours before kickoff, 2 hours before kickoff, 3 hours before kickoff, and pay £4.80 for a pint and however much it is, £3 for a cup of tea.
Yeah,
£3 for some hot water and a tea bag.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It really is. Great point again, guys. For the final topic today, it's the best player we have seen play live. That's basically what we've seen in person. So, Andrew, why don't you kick us off with this one?
It's a bit biased, but for me personally, probably the best player I've ever seen live is probably Patrick Vieira. And the reason I say that is because the way he was able to dominate a midfield and how he just pushed Arsenal so much through so many times when you thought he couldn't possibly do it, and yet they did. He was the leader of the team. He, like I say, pushed them through everything. He was always there, and he was somebody who, when you are 2-1 down on the 80th minute, you look to and will say, "We can do this." He was a true captain, and for me, he was the best player I've ever seen live. And
also, I'd pretty much say I don't think Arsenal have looked the same since he left.
Definitely not, yeah.
I don't think there's that leader, and I don't think we're seeing leaders come into the game like that anymore.
No, they're not allowed to anymore. They could never play like Vieira did because he's far too tough, isn't he? If Vieira in his prime played now, he'd be giving about 20 fouls away a half. It's just that type of football now.
Similar to sort of Roy Keane, really, wasn't it?
Exactly, yeah. I don't think they'd appreciate us saying that, but
yeah, exactly. So, Richard, what about you?
Danny Welbeck, all day, every day. No,
there, he got it right. Stop it.
He's got it. He's got it in. He's got it in this episode.
And to be fair, it's a toss up. I mean, I've seen some of the best players in world football play. Obviously, the Champions League's a great competition for seeing players that you don't normally see week in, week out. Your Figos, Zidanes, Ronaldos, etc. But for me, I think Paul Scholes has probably been the best player before he retired for the last 20 years. I think Paul Scholes is just he was just unbelievable. And for the world's best players to come out and say, the likes of, Messi a few seasons ago, saying that Barcelona's youth team coaches telling him about this is what Paul Scholes does. You've got Zinedine Zidane being asked how he feels about being the best player in the world or best midfielder in the world, and he says, "I don't know. Why don't you ask Paul Scholes?" Paul Scholes was just unbelievable. And obviously, like I said, I have seen some of the best players in world football play. But I think Paul Scholes for me, or Bebe, one or the other. I'm not too sure which one, to be fair.
Quite similar players, aren't they?
Well, yeah. I think if Bebe had stayed at United, he'd probably be World Player of the Year now. But that's a different story.
Well, for me personally, seeing a player play live is Ronaldinho when we played Barcelona at home, and I've never seen someone so quick on the ball and so strong. He was bouncing players off him when they were going, and these were like strong players, like players that played in the role like Makelele and Terry, and the goal he scored against Czech was just unbelievable. You're sitting there and it was that
just, one with the outside of the boot from the edge of the box.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just ridiculous.
It was one of them did that just happen moments, and especially for Czech then, because I'd say that was probably one of the best Chelsea teams I'd ever seen play, and Czech was probably at his best then. It was before the head injury and stuff like that. He had a lot of confidence, and that was just he was an unbelievable player. And obviously, that was the only time I did get to see him play live, and he made such an impression. So that's my one, Ronaldinho.
Did you see him? I don't know when the game was. He's playing in Brazil now, isn't he? He's playing in Brazil in the Brazilian leagues. Yeah, he scored a goal a couple of months ago, and the ball had gone out for a throw-in, and a player had gone down injured. And the ball's on about the halfway line for a throw-in, and it's Ronaldinho's team. Now, obviously, everybody in world football knows you can't be offside from a throw-in. So Ronaldinho walks behind the back four, just completely, everybody ignores it, walks all the way up to the goalkeeper and asks if he can have a drink out of his water bottle in the net. So the keeper, yeah, no problem, mate, there you go, have a beer, have a bit of that. 2 seconds later, the referee blows his whistle. Ronaldinho's 30 yards behind everybody else, stood on the edge of the box. They throw the ball over the back four. He turns around, he puts it in the back of the net. Genius, absolute genius. I think it's on YouTube, so anybody try and have a look at it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's absolute genius. You just see him just wander off behind the back four, go and get a bit of water out the back of the net from the goalkeeper, turn back round, and by the time he's turned round, they've thrown the ball over the back four, and he sticks the ball in the back of the net.
I think that's the beauty of Ronaldinho, though, isn't it? He made a lot of things look very effortless, and he was just a fantastic player, like all of our picks today. But if you have different picks or disagree with our picks, who's the best player you've seen play, put them in the comment section. This is the end of the show, actually. So if you want to be involved in the show, please leave a comment below or tweet us at the Football Suite. Have any topics you want us to discuss, leave them in the comment section. Get involved on Twitter. Andrew's always there. And thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, cheers, guys.